So welcome everybody. This is Dhrupad, Love and Cats, and Barbara speaking to Madhuvanti Pal, my beloved music teacher, Dhrupad teacher. And today we're going to talk about the topic of tradition and its tensions with innovation in the music of Dhrupad. So we have a tradition, it's an ancient tradition of Dhrupad music. It comes originally from temple music and developed into classical form. But because it's an improvisational form of music, the music is always coming into being new as it's being created by the musician. So of course, there's the tradition, which gives us certain things like the nature of the rag, grammar of the rag, swarastaans, sur, so on. And yet there's always this tension with the creativity of the artist in the moment. So that's very puzzling to me as a new student, and I wanted to ask Madhuvanti about her thoughts on the topic. So welcome, Madhuvanti. Thank you for talking to me about these things.
Thank you for having me.
And so we have the tradition of Dhrupad, that's the tradition. So what is that tradition, and what in that tradition should never be lost when we improvise?
So in the tradition in Dhrupad, there are certain ethics and grammars and certain rules, right? Everybody will talk about those all the time. Those and the Shastra aspect of it, all those things, they should never change. They should always remain the same. And they are the only things that remain the same probably, even though even in that there are changes. We will talk about that. Mm-hmm. But within the Shastra, so you cannot start from Jhala, then go to Jod, then go to Ala. It cannot happen like that. There are reasons why it's done in such a way. Why first comes the Alap, then the Jod, then the Jhala. These things cannot change. A Rag Roop, you cannot change that. Mm-hmm. That has to be like that, or the swarastanas of the Rag. The swarastaans, they need to be like that. They cannot be changed. Mm-hmm. But then, what is the tradition? In my opinion, the tradition has also always have been evolving and changing. How? So, Dhrupad comes from what? Samgan, which is the singing of the Samveda, Chandagan, and the Prabandhagan. The moment we bring all these three types of singing together, we get Dhrupad. Now, the first great big guru of Dhrupad that we know of is Haridas Swami. Dagar or not, that's not the issue here. Haridas Swami, the guru of Tansin. He can also be of the Daguri village, so Haridas Swami Dagar, or Haridas Swami of Vrindavan. He started singing, and that singing was little bit of alap just to open up the rag, and then the composition. Among his disciples was Tansen. And Tansen took this music from temple to court. And even then, it was mostly compositions and little bit of chant to open up the rag before that. Now, did Tansen sound like Haridas Swami? The answer is a clear no. Tansen's son-in-law. Why? Because if we say that Haridas Swami was the Haridas Swami Dagar, then he is singing Dagarvani. Tansen sang Gaurharbani or Gauharbani, which had different characteristics. Now Tansen's son-in-law, Misri Singh, who was a Vena player, he created the Khandarvani. And Khandarvani had Gauharbani and Dagarvani inside it already. But does Khandarvani sound like Gauharbani or Dagarvani? Again, the answer is clear no. So even in the historical aspect, everybody was different, and that change in the tradition, that was the tradition. And then singing the alap through a chant, say like Hari Om Ananta Narayana Tarana Tarana Swam, or Hari Nil Nila Hari, or Purna Kalashamrita. These were the chants used to sing the alap. Then came Baba Behram Khan, and he took this mantra Hari Om Ananta Narayana, tore it down to the syllables that we use today. And today, syllables are the tradition. Before Baba Behram Khan, was that there? They weren't. This is another example. So the change has always been there. If we deny them, that's a different thing altogether. And then if we talk about Veena, the traditional Rudra Veena was made out of bamboo, very small tumbas, not very heavily decorated, and ghat strings. That's how traditional Veenas were. And then came metal strings, so they had started putting metal strings. And if you look at Asad Ali Khan's father's Veena, it's very small Veena. And all the very old black and white photographs of court musicians that we see, the Veenas are very small, not so decorated like our Veena. But the epitome of traditional Veena playing, Asad Ali Khan, later on in his life, he played a bamboo Veena, not a bamboo Veena. He played on a wooden Veena. And his tumbas were much bigger. They were so much more decorated. And did he exactly play like his father?
We know that for sure.
Yes. And then the greatest Veena player of the 20th century, Bade Ustad, he completely changed the Veena up. He did something which was not imaginable before. So, and the way Veena was played, he changed that completely. So the tradition has always been evolving. That's a beautiful thing about the tradition. The moment we stop evolving, and it's like a river, no? The water needs to flow. If the water isn't flowing, and the river gets stagnated, the river will eventually die out.
Yeah.
Probably why Dhrupad has survived for so many millennia is because it always kept on evolving, no matter we accept that or not.
Yeah.
So the tradition of Dhrupad, it's evolving all the time. Now, Bare Ustad's tradition is Dagarvani. Bare Ustad's tradition is Dagarvani Veena playing. It wasn't there before Bare Ustad.
Right.
And there is a funny thing about it. To be considered as a gharana, you need at least 3 generations. So Bare Ustad started playing in a certain way. Then his son, Bahauddin Dagar, followed that up. Then their disciples, when they perform, then it's a gharana. So because we exist, because of that Dagarvina is a thing. It can be now called a gharana.
Interesting.
Before that, Dagarvani, yeah, there is Veena in Dagarvani, but is that a gharana before that? Technically, that could be questioned.
So it's your generation that makes it a gharana.
Yes. But Dagarvani as a gharana, as a Dhrupad gharana, it has been there for so many generations. According to the popular claims, 19th or 20th generation. So the singing gharana, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
So, and if we go back to like Zakiruddin Khan Sahab, then that's a gharana. But Bada Ustad didn't play like that. It was a very different thing that he introduced. So if we take Bada Ustad as the ideal, then it at least takes till me for that to become a gharana.
Interesting.
It's weird and it's very uncomfortable thing to talk about for every musician.
Yeah.
So now, what is the tradition of Dhrupad? Dhrupad comes from temple music. It comes from devotional music. Dhrupad was never sung for entertainment. Now, if you're singing something for yourself or for nature or for your God, in whichever form it may be, uh, will you be shouting and screaming and doing all sorts of circus? It's not possible, right? So, what Drupad teaches us is to look inwards. Because if you're looking inside yourself, if your senses are becoming inbound, then can you lie to yourself for very long? You can't. So, if you can't lie to yourself and you have to be brutally honest with yourself at least. So then ultimately, we as all human beings, what do we want? We want peace, we want love, we want blissfulness, we want happiness, and we want beauty in our life. That is Drupad, that is what Drupad is all about. It's not about being the best, or it's not about being the most right one, or things like that. It's more about how inclusive you are, how loving you are, how much you can embrace me. It's more about inclusion, not exclusion. No, we are better than you. You don't belong here. That's not Drupad. That's not the philosophy of Drupad. So if somebody follows the grammar and the ethics and the morals, they are more or less the same thing though. And they're in sur, they're treating the rag with respect and in proper way, how the rag should be treated, and the swarastaans and everything else, the rasa, they are in a correct way. And if that music is not for entertainment, you're not trying to please the audience.
Yeah.
That is true.
So it sounds like then the limit of innovation for any musician at any moment is when we start to cross those lines, when we're losing the ethics, losing the beauty and the harmony and the love, and losing the grammar and all.
Yes.
But otherwise, we're staying in the tradition basically, as long as we're not doing those things.
Exactly. And now think about this. If you're a well-informed musician, then to cross those lines with proper way, instead of trying to, if you are not trying to cross the lines consciously, how wild your imagination has to get to actually cross the lines.
Yeah.
If we think about Chotu Ustad's singing, it was inhumanly wild kind of imagination. And only somebody with his skill and his kind of knowledge and depth could execute that kind of imagination. But did he ever cross the line? No. Bade Ustad, wasn't he wild? He changed up everything. He did everything in a very new way. But did he cross the line ever? No. Then actually, if you're not trying to go beyond the borders of Drupad, if you are content there. You are not consciously trying to like cross the limits.
Right.
The possibilities are so infinite that it's humanly impossible to get out of Drupal. Actually,
That's amazing.
you think about it, isn't it so?
Hmm.
So just take any rag, for example. The possibilities, there's so much within the framework of Drupal. Is that even possible to go out if you're not consciously trying to get out of there?
Hmm.
For somebody who is new, who doesn't know the rag properly, maybe it's possible because they're not informed.
Yeah.
But for an informed musician, is it possible? No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't believe in that.
Hmm. So you have a kind of an interesting background because you come from two different schools within Dhrupad. You have training from Mitanag in Bishnupur, and you also have training from the Gundecha brothers within Dagarvani-style. So can you talk a little bit about those two schools and differences between them and similarities? And does it make you wrong in some way to be influenced by both of those schools?
Okay, so here, let me first put it this way. Gharanas, they're not black, white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, like that.
Yeah.
They are more like spectrum. So
Mm.
if there is a circle and there are different shades within it, maybe here at this extreme, this side, it's one color. On the extreme, this side, there is another color, but in between, there is a huge gradient.
Mm.
Gharanas are like that. So if we say like, okay, there is red, there is blue. This red is Dagarvani, blue is Vishnupur. In between, there will be a huge gradient of purple,
Mm.
reddish purple, bluish purple, and then. So that extreme, that gradient zone, there is no clash there. There is a huge common ground there.
Mm.
That is where I reside. So uh, there is no clash, in my opinion, because
Mm.
also when I went back to Guruji's, so when I decided that I'm going to play only the Veena from now on, Mitadi asked me to take just Drupad lessons from somebody.
Mm.
And I wanted to go to Guruji's. And I was scared. I was very scared because I thought there will be clashes between the two gharanas. So Guruji's will say, oh, we don't do like that. That is too Vishnupur. Or Mitadi will one day say, oh, we don't do like that. That's Dagarvani. That's not Vishnupur enough. But trust me on this. In all these years, that incident never happened once.
Amazing.
Because how people think about gharanas, it's like looking at a room through a keyhole.
Mm.
It's not just that much. It's a huge thing, and there are so many possibilities within the gharana. And probably I'm blessed in a way that Bishnupur and Dagarvani philosophically, grammatically, aesthetically, they don't really clash that
Mm.
much.
So Guruji's never said to you, that's too much ornamentation. Stop ornamenting so much.
No, but once it happened, I used to play a very fast chala.
Mm.
So Bade Guruji one day said, Madhuvanti, don't play that chala. It's way too fast for our tradition. I
Mm.
don't like it. I stopped playing that from that day.
Mm.
I don't play that chala anymore.
Mm.
But when it comes to ornamentation, Bade Guruji especially, he would allow me do more than other students
Ah.
for some reason.
Mm.
And maybe because he had that faith and the trust in me that I can handle those things.
Mm.
There was once, but like in the Mohara, There are different kind of ornamentations that can be done in the Maharana. So I did a very fancy taan there, and Guruji said, no, I won't allow you play that, but you can do this. And he showed me something else, which was even more beautiful.
Mm.
So, but no, we don't play like this. That's way too ornamentation for us. That never happened. Because I was little bit of a monkey brain when I was studying. Sometimes I would just go way too fast and they would slow down a little bit.
Mm.
That's all. They never felt that I was over ornamenting things.
Mm.
Rather,
Mm.
Chote Guruji encouraged me to play the way I play in so many different ways.
That's amazing. So they never said, that's too Vishnupur. We don't do that, except for the speed.
No, that never happened to me.
Interesting.
It's a blessing. So if I came from, say, like the traditional school of playing the Veena, say, like if I was playing Khandarvani, if I was from the lineage of Asad Ali Khan, then probably that clash might occur.
Mm.
Thank God it never happened with me.
Yeah. Well, it's so reassuring for someone like me. I mean, not that I would ever have your skills, but to be able to think about however I play, as long as I'm true to the grammar and the structure of the rag and to the feeling, the inner quality, then I can just play as I am in the moment.
Yes, and that is how it's going to be. You cannot, if you play the same rag 10 times, all the times it's going to be different. It's going to be new.
Hmm.
Every time how you are internally, that's going to change the rag.
Hmm.
Your Yaman, if you play 10 times, every time it's going to be different. No?
Hmm. And of course, ZM Dagar, Bari Ustad, he is considered the greatest Veena player of the 20th century for sure. And people will always compare us to him. You don't sound like him, or you do sound like him. What do you think about those kind of comparisons?
Bad, something that should never be done or encouraged.
Okay.
Because let's say this again. Asad Ali Khan, did he sound like Sadiq Ali Khan? He chose not to play like Sadiq Ali Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Bare Ustad, did he play like his father? He didn't. He completely changed the instrument. He created a new style of playing the instrument.
Yeah.
And then Bahauddin ji, does he exactly play like Bare Ustad?
Not exactly.
He doesn't. So then why should we, who are not even related by our blood, sound like them? And then there is another thing. Veena is made according to the body of the player.
Mm-hmm.
So every Veena is going to have its own unique voice. Bare Ustad's Veena sounded like Bare Ustad's Veena because that was Bare Ustad's hands, Bare Ustad's body, Bare Ustad's Veena. No one else can ever copy that. Can anybody sound like how I sound, or how Bahauddin Dagar sounds, or how Jyoti Hebe sounds? It's impossible, no? So people who say, oh, you don't sound like Bade Ustad, so you don't play Dagarvani, do they understand the tradition properly? All the disciples of Chotu Ustad, do any of them sound like Chotu Ustad? Everybody, most of Chotu Ustad's disciples are very successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have Guruji, Uday Bhalkar, Nirmalya De, Pelva Naik, and so on. So, do any of them sound like Chotu Ustad or like each other?
No.
So then why is there a pressure on students always to sound like somebody?
Yeah.
Uh, does anybody, is it even possible for any human being to be exact copy of somebody else?
Oh.
Then if they're being authentic to themselves, if they're being true to themselves, can they sound like somebody else?
I don't think so.
So people who say such things, my question is, do they understand the tradition? Do they understand the music?
Mm. Mm.
I don't think so.
Mm.
And that should never be done.
Yeah. So if somebody says to you, well, that's not Dagarvani what you're playing. You're playing something else, some purple area there. You're not in the blue area or the red area. What would you say to that?
I really, unless it's Guruji's or Mitadi or any of my disciples, I don't really reply back to them even. I don't need to.
Mm.
I am always answerable to my gurus.
Yeah.
I owe my disciples an explanation.
Mm.
But all these people, if they don't like my music and if they think that, oh, I'm not playing authentic, this or that, I don't owe them any explanation. Guruji's never thought that I'm not playing authentic Dagarvani.
Yeah.
Mitati never thought that I'm not playing authentic Vishnupur. So then how does it matter to others? And these people, most of them, are they in a place of authority to question me also?
Mm.
So why do I even have to reply them back? And because before Binita, I was for a very long time the youngest Veena player, right?
Yeah.
So because of this kind of very negative and very sabotaging kind of comments, I used to doubt myself so much. And during lockdown, one day I asked Bade Guruji, I was so sad.
Mm.
I asked Bade Guruji that, Guruji, do you think that I'm playing the right music? Am I playing Veena the right way? Because I play in a very different way nowadays and I don't sound like Bade Ustad.
Yeah.
My sound is very different. And there were people who were calling me my Veena the ladies' Veena. So I felt so sad and I asked Bade Guruji. What he told me was very beautiful.
Mm.
Okay, Madhuvanti, I'll take your audio recording, play it to a bunch of people who are core Drupad listeners. And you know what will happen? They will, the moment you play the first few notes, the moment you pull your first sa, they will know that you are coming from Dagarvani. The way you phrase things and the quality of sur,
Mm.
the moment they hear that, there is no question that you are playing Dagarvani. And then if they are not able to see you, I'm sure they won't even imagine that's a woman that is playing that thing.
Wow.
If I don't tell them your name and your gender, they will think it's some big shot Veena player, male Veena player playing that.
Wow.
And after that day, I just stopped worrying about that completely,
Mm.
about those people. Does it still not hurt? It hurts.
Mm.
When this very recent incident happened, did it not hurt? It hurt.
Yeah.
But does it affect me? Will I try to change myself anymore? No.
Yeah.
Will I try to please them by fitting into their idea of Dagarvani anymore? No. Do anyone need to do that? No.
Mm.
If they know that, yes, I'm true to my tradition, then that's it. They're true to their tradition. And its tradition is also like that family.
Mhm.
You might have never seen your great grandfather, but his nose is sitting on your face, or your great grandmother's complexion, or love for cats is there. So you don't have to try. Once you learn from your guru, their imprint will always be there, unless you are trying so hard to break out of it.
Right.
Which should never be done.
Yeah.
So there is this incident with a troublemaker story. And there are two incidents actually, one with Chote Guruji, one with Bade Guruji. So this guy came and he's singing so many different fancy stuffs. So then Chote Guruji says, why do you have to try so much to sing in a different way than we do? No matter what you do, you will never be able to sing how we do. You don't have to try, you just sing how you sing. You don't have to try to be different because anyways you will be different. This was Chote Guruji. Then within 1 week, in front of Bade Guruji, what he says is, it doesn't matter. You will anyways be different, but who is your guru? That should be understandable from the way you sing, or which tradition you come from. That should be clear from the way you sing. You learned under a tradition. You shouldn't try to sound like some other tradition. By listening to your singing, the audience shouldn't get confused that which tradition does he come from or she comes from.
Yeah.
If that's not happening, like if you're not consciously trying to sound different, then there is no problem. You don't have to try to sound like somebody also at the same time, because that's also impossible.
Right.
People have tried and failed. Like, so all the Veena players, they tried so hard to sound like Bade Ustad. Is there a second Bade Ustad?
No.
It can't be. And the traditional Veena players, they try so hard to sound like Asad Ali Khan. Is there a second Asad Ali Khan? There can't be. There will never be a second Asad Ali Khan or a second Bade Ustad. So why do we even try? We can't sound like them.
Yeah. So I shouldn't try to imitate you or be a copy of you.
No, why?
Not that
Why?
I could be.
Did I ever ask you to copy me
No.
or sound like me? Your temperament, your way of playing, it's so different from mine.
Yeah.
I am a different kind of a person. You're a different kind of a person.
Right.
You will anyway sound always different from me. If I try to force my what is that personality to you, it will never work. Or if you try to force yourself to become my kind of a personality, that won't be you anymore. No? Grace and Kishori, they might not even recognize you if you try to do like that. So why? The way you play, now see, you play very different way from my playing,
Yeah.
But the way you play, is there any confusion among the audience that you are my student?
I don't know.
You know some of the comments that we received.
Yeah. No, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. Now, do you have to try to be like me for that?
Mm-mm.
It's anyways there. My nose will always sit on your face. You can't change that until and unless you have a nose job. But that doesn't mean you have to try to like change up your nose to look more like my nose. Or put on a lot of spray tan trying to change your body color to my kind of body color. It's like that, no?
So then,
Anyways, from your playing, my techniques will be visible, my thought process will be visible. You can't change that unless you try consciously to change.
yeah. So then the character and the personality of the musician, their personal experiences, all of that can come through.
Yes, and they should come through. If they're not coming through, then the music is just dead. It's just grammar and it's just noise. It's not music really, is it? So have you noticed there are some performances, everything is happening so flawless, but after the performance is over, you don't feel anything. You don't feel inspired. And you're so comfortably, okay, I can forget it. And then there are performances where so many mistakes are happening, but you feel something from inside, and you remember that for a very long time. What's the difference? Where those mistakes happened, that person was being authentic at the time, at that moment. And where that flawless performance happened, but you don't remember that. What happened there really? Memorized music, or where I'm trying to please somebody and not being who I am. If that happens, it's so forgettable after that.
No.
It doesn't touch anyone's heart. And if your music is, so music is to express, right? Also, if you express somebody and the listener doesn't care, then the expression is just useless. No? What you're expressing, that love, that calm, that peacefulness, if the audience is not able to feel that, then you're a failure. But you make thousands of mistakes, but the audience can feel that. That's what we want. So without being true to yourself, you cannot play this music. The first quality of a Veena player should be honesty. At every point of time, they need to be honest to themselves and what they are feeling, how they want to play, which rag they want to play. That honesty should always be there. If they're not truthful, that will show up in the music, as I always say. Whatever, because in Dhrupad, especially on Rudra Veena, you cannot hide what's exactly there inside you.
No.
Anything and everything that is there inside you, it will come out. The entire audience, they can see and hear and feel who you are. The moment you create that barrier, it's gone. So you have to be who you are. There is no other option. There is no other way. If you try to copy your guru and try becoming like your guru, you are not who you are. So the purpose of this music is already lost.
Yeah.
No?
Right.
Now another example. See, all my techniques, they are Mitanag's techniques. There is no question about that. Do I sound like her by any means? Everything that I know about Shrutis and swarastaans, they are from Guruji's. Do I sound like the Gundase brothers?
No.
Then, but am I, if I'm not a student of Mitanag, will I be able to play the way I play? The answer is a clear no. Without my training under Guruji's, will I know the things that I know? The answer is a clear no. But then, after knowing all that, I have to be who I am and play my music. That's the only way I can express myself. I cannot express myself like the Gundecha brothers or like Mitana. Same with all of you.
Yeah.
And there is another weird quality about this music. When you're authentic, when you're true, it doesn't only touch human beings, it touches every animal and bird around you. And I have seen Veena players, they're playing seemingly good Veena. Never a cat or a dog or a bird or a cow had any interest in them.
Hmm.
Why? They were trying too hard to sound like Madhuvanti.
Oh.
You know who I am talking about, but and then uh, there are legends of great Dhrupad maestros, how much in contact with nature they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your cats love your Veena playing.
Mhm.
Your cats love to play the Veena also.
It's true.
So there is no doubt you're on the right track.
Yeah, the cats confirm.
Yes. And after the gurus, I would rather listen to cats and dogs and cows and birds than to human beings.
Mhm. Yeah, they're having a very authentic experience.
Yes. If they like it, it's good music.
Mm.
If they feel it, because they can feel so much more intensely.
Yeah.
If they're becoming calm and lovable and uh, they're having fun listening to this music, if they want to chime in, we are doing the right thing.
Mm. Yeah, and when I was first
So
learning Chala, they both ran away. So now they don't. So that was the
yeah,
difference between bad music and better music.
yes, and even I remember since almost since day one, both Grace and Kishori loved the Veena, and Grace always loved playing the Veena.
Mhm.
You forgot to play the Mohara, Grace came and tried playing the Mohara for you for so long. They have that instinct also,
Yeah,
more than we humans.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. This is so comforting for me. And if people criticize me, I don't sound like Bari Ustad or I don't sound like a Dagarvani player, whatever. It's
Can
okay.
you sound like anything but Dagarvani?
No.
Then, and who is the authentic Dagarvani Veena player? Barosa sounded different, Bahaudin Dagar sounds different.
Yeah. So interesting.
Then who should we sound like? Who should we strive
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
sound like?
Yeah.
There is
Very
never
interesting.
this thing.
Yeah. Very interesting notion of tradition. It's so different from Western classical music, at least in my experience. Of course, we sound
Yes,
like our
because
teacher in
in
that too, but the music there is given to you. You have to play the music as it was written. So there's such a tiny scope for interpretation. It's so much
yeah,
tinier.
and yeah, but in Drupad you are improvising at least 95% of the music.
Right. Yeah.
And no two people can think in the same way, can they?
Yeah.
There will still be differences. Both the Gurujis, they sang together all the time. Are they thinking in the same way?
No, it's clear not.
There is a clear difference in how Bade Guruji thinks and how Chote Guruji thinks.
Yeah.
But when put together, it's so beautiful.
Mhm.
But even they are not thinking in this exact same way.
Yeah.
Baru Ustad thought in a very different way, Chotu Ustad thought in a very different way. Then why is there this pressure on the students to think in that kind of way or like him or like
Mhm.
definitely him, because no one will ask you to think like her.
Right.
So why is that pressure on all the students? I faced this pressure as a student, and now I see that's happening to my students, and I don't see the need of it.
Yeah.
Guruji's never asked me to sound like Padustad.
Mm.
Then why these outsiders, most of them who are not really accomplished musicians or musicologists or music historians, why are they all of a time creating this pressure on students that no, you have to do it like them, otherwise you are not doing it the right.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't either.
And probably this is one reason why so many people lost interest in Drupal and in Rudra Veena in the first place. Like I'm talking about 50, 60, 70 years back. Even if people are interested to learn, and either the gurus will say, oh, we don't teach, we won't teach you. Or if they start learning, then, oh, this is not the right way of doing things. You need to do it like that. Otherwise, it's wrong. And it's gone. It's all gone.
Yeah.
So the more we try to become exclusive, the more the music will start suffering. The only way we can truly be Drupadiyas or Veena players is by embracing everybody.
Mm.
You know this for a fact, that there is this belief that you need to train for 10, 15 years to be able to even hear those shrutis.
Mm.
How long did it take you for listening to those shrutis?
Not very long.
Approximately still.
I think in one lesson, maybe we did that.
Exactly. So it's all that it takes is somebody to explain it to you and show it to you. Okay, see, this is what it is.
Mhm.
Will you get the skill to do it like that? No. But to hear, you definitely don't need 10, 15 years of training. You just need that explanation.
Mhm.
Now, after that, you need to definitely work to cultivate that quality, to achieve that. But those notions, those are created by such people, no?
Yeah.
They are the ones that will tell you, oh, you need to learn for 15 years, only then you will be able to hear the difference between Bhairav Ray and Todi Ray and Shri Ray. Is it really so? If the guru is right and if the disciple is right, all that. So Chote Guruji used to say, like, if the disciple is open enough, I'll teach him Drupad within 5 minutes. But the everything of Drupad within 5 minutes.
Oh
But the
my
disciple
God.
has to be open.
Yeah.
And as long as he was alive, we used to feel like, he's just saying things. But now that he's not there anymore, and I think about it, and now when I am teaching myself, I see why he said that. It's true. If the disciple is open enough, all that it takes to understand what is Drupad is just 5 minutes.
Mm.
They have to be open. They should not have any of those preconceived notions and fears and barriers and blockages. If those are not there, if the transmission is happening effortlessly, 5 minutes for Chote Guruji.
10.
Maybe I'll need little bit more, but with his kind of mastery and skill, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that was possible if he was alive and if there was a disciple.
Amazing.
And but people will make you believe it's not possible.
Yeah.
How many people told you that you cannot play Veena? You should not play Veena. You won't be able to play Veena. You are still playing Veena and you are playing it beautifully. So who are they to tell you?
Yeah. Well, Thank you so much. This has been really, really illuminating for me. And I think it will
Thank
be
you.
for people who listen. So thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Say hello to Grace and Kishore.
I will.
They didn't come to say hi.
No, there was no music, so no point.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'll see you soon
Okay, take care. Thank you.
in our usual setup.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.